Everybody, welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name, and welcome to another sponsored Sword of Convallaria video. Today, we are talking about SP Sofia. I have now actually played with her a reasonable amount. So unlike my first video, where I kind of just go over the kits I could find online, I now actually know how this character works for the most part. I'm sure there might be some weird interactions that I don't know fully, but for the most part, I think I can give you a pretty good build for this character. So we're going to go over her. I'll give you my opinions and how I recommend building her. So first, I think we should just get the equipment out of the way going over this. Also, yeah, thank you, Sword of Convallaria, for sponsoring this video. Boom, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think I said it, but let's just make sure let's make sure. Let's go over her weapons really quick. So this is kind of the most awkward spot, is she has a unique weapon that is only obtainable currently through the gacha. The way it works is basically they're going to release some weapons every now and then, right? Then you're going to be able to go into the exchange, go into the gear, and you're going to be able to get the Astral Forge Fighting Spirit, and then they'll have like a season 1, a season 2, and like a season 3, you know, etc. So currently we're just on season 1, so it's going to take probably a couple months, a month minimum, like probably 3 characters, and then a little bit of time after that. So probably when the 4th character is released, you'll probably get season 2, and then you'll be able to spend your currency to get that randomly. So you are going to be able to get her weapon if you really want it and don't want to pull for it. The only reason I'm really talking about this is because this is the only weapon that supports her kit basically at all. There's not another weapon, another sword in the game that she can use, and you're like, oh wow, this is great. So this is really the only good weapon on her. Because it's the only thing that actually activates off of allies. When you target allies, you give them buffs, right? You dispel the debuffs, you grant them buffs, you give them a unique buff. It's a very, very powerful weapon, and she targets allies constantly. So this is going to be good. There's nothing else that's really that good. Outside of this, I would probably just run something that gives her HP. There's 3 different swords that give her HP, just to keep her alive, I guess. Or you could just go for, I would probably go with the Newborn Blade if you have enough around, as she doesn't really need the physical attack, but it will make her healing stronger as it scales with both magic and physical. So this is probably the best as a backup. Now, the Old Scrolls of August, I think, is her best equipment, but only if you are using the Nocturnal Glow, because using this will trigger the sword, which is just very nice. I think it's just very powerful. But if you don't have the sword, then again, it's kind of a pick your favorite thing. None of it is going to be crazy important. I would just pick something that helps her stay alive, and maybe, you know, make it so she can't be disrupted. The magic hat's always kind of good. You can always just give her something that increases this, you know. This isn't like insanely powerful on her, but it will make her healing more powerful as well. In addition to, of course, cooling powder does that thing as well. But she's not a damage unit. She's not a unit that you really care about having a really specific setup to deal damage. She's just here to pretty much support other people and let them attack more and let them and heal them. So it's kind of a pick your favorite if you don't have this specific combo. Now, as far as the engravings, I personally like the resonance because, one, the resonance isn't good in PvP. I don't care about PvP. So in PvE, this is just pretty good. To just randomly get all your stuff back lets you use mobile squad trump tactic a lot more. It also could just allow you to use some of these more expensive things. Just even something that only costs 2 energy, you'll be able to use it a lot. Maybe you run Rebirth and you could do Rebirth twice in a row. That's like pretty reasonable. It's not like insane for her, I'll be honest, but it is something that I think is relevant, especially maybe even if you get like Sniper Cover Me, because this is a pretty good ability. But it's not the most essential. You could just get the healing or the tankiness. I personally just liked having it. I found it convenient. It's not like this big, awesome payoff. You could go with a cup. I think that is also just as reasonable, but honestly, I already had set up to do a wand cup, and I was just happy with it. I like that she doesn't, I don't need to necessarily have energy regeneration on a team for her to be good, because her 3 energy thing, she could just use it a lot more frequently. So that's what I'm using. As far as the tarot, I don't think the Empress is necessary per se if you have her weapon, because her weapon basically has the tarot built in, right? After you cast a skill on an ally, you dispel a debuff, you give them a level 1 debuff. And I think you could even get this to be a level 2 debuff if you get up a higher enough star level. It becomes a level 2 debuff, gets sort of 2 debuffs, and gives them a level 2 debuff, and it gives them the Nocturnal Glow too. So it's like absolutely insane. So it already has this tarot built in, but if you don't have the weapon, this is going to be pretty good. Outside of this, I think it is very reasonable to just use a the priestess here just to get the extra healing. I primarily use this character for healing. In my opinion, she is not much of a damage dealer. So just having, I don't know, where the heck is it? You guys know what the priestess is, right? The high priestess. It's the books. I forgot what it looks like. So something like this, right? I'd probably use something like this. Just give extra healing, which I think is great. You could also do, like, honestly, she's probably pretty good with the Dream of the Magician. Not the Dream of the Magician, I'm sorry. The Fortune, Wheel of Fortune. I'm not sure if she does the AoE heal with this, if it will actually trigger her sword. I haven't, it's hard to get those things to line up, but again, pretty much everything is here, right? You get extra attack and defense, which increases your healing survivability. It just, these are always good. This is so good on so many characters. It's kind of just like, if you're not going for just pure maximum damage every single turn, or you specifically need a stat like HP, this is one of the best tarots. It's just always good. Magician is great for dealing damage, single target and multi-strike. The Justice is good for crit. This is good for flat stats, but like, as far as just generically good, this is pretty much good always. And I like having it on her in general, but I'm currently using the healing one because I care about her healing thing. So as far as gear, that's what I'm using. It's been very powerful. If you don't have the weapon, she's definitely going to feel like a step down as a character, but she will still be, I think, insanely strong. But there's just not another really super good weapon to run on her. Now, this is the second part. If you have the original Safiyyah, you're going to get, and you get her up to 3-star, so I'm probably going to rank her up to 3-star. You get the Blade Chase ability. Basically, she has 2 relatively not very good reactions, and this will give her a really good reaction. So it is a little bit of a power creep in a way that I don't particularly like. Instead of adding options, this isn't an this is like, yeah, it's an option, but it just is like probably just straight up better than, instead of having like an additional skill that you might want situationally being powerful, it's like it replaces one of the, she doesn't have like a unique reaction. They're both kind of bad. So this one's great. Performs assisting attacks on enemies with the mobile squad mark within 3 tiles of the character. She applies this at the start of her turn within like 5 tiles. So anything that gets attacked that has this on them, she's going to help attack you and deal damage. And then she's also going to heal. So it only triggers up to 1 time per round, but 1 time per round, she's going to deal extra damage and heal on top of her already getting other characters' extra attacks and heal. So very good, but this is a little bit of a, I won't say it's a whale thing. If you're a day 1 player, you probably have this, or, you know, you're on your way to having this once you get her start up. But if you don't have regular Safiyyah, this is going to be kind of a whale thing. So I'm not going to really consider this as part of the build, but it is definitely a buff. Now, as far as her trait, increase the attack of all allies by 5% at 1-star. Let's go over one. We already went over her trait in another one here, but let's just go with the important breakpoints. 3 stars is the important breakpoint here. You could obviously then 5 stars is pretty big. You get a bunch of buffs there, but I think 3-star is where you should be happy. Not only do you get that reaction, but you also get the 15% more damage and piercing damage when performing assistant attack or alert, which it doesn't have at 1 and 2-star. And you get up the, you know, you go from the 5% attack to the 10%, but you get that at 2 stars. So overall, it's just quite a bit better once you get the 3 stars. A lot more bonus damage here, which is something you should definitely be striving for. But I'm personally not going to take her above 3 stars probably ever. Now, if we go over her skills, she actually has a lot of reasonable skills, but I am always going to be running frontline deployment probably. I can't, always probably. I can't really think of a situation where I don't want this on. This is one of my favorite skills in the game. This is effectively the tactics, right? The teleport tactics. It's not as good. I think the tactics is 10 tiles. This is actually walking, but just having an instant ability to move any target, it's essentially any target. 5 tiles is huge. This is so good for just getting your characters into position. She can also immediately capitalize on it with her attacks, and I'll let people follow up to do additional attacks. But I love this skill. This skill has been my favorite. I'm never getting rid of it. When you get up to rank 3, I actually, this is what's kind of weird about her. Maybe people build her in a more offensive way, but this is the main reason I even run her on my team. Where can I move myself? Let's move up here. We'll cover the, we'll move down here. No one cares about what's down here. This is probably the main reason I'm running her on my team. At the end of the turn, you heal 2 allies in battle with the lowest HP, so it's automatically going to target the characters that need it the most for 40% of your physical attack plus 40% of your magical attack. When executing standby, you trigger an additional time healing for 20% of physical attack and magic attack. So I think you'll get 4 heals off. I can't remember if this is a 3rd heal or a 4th heal. I think this is a 4th one. So, you know, you do the 40% to 2 allies and you do the 20% to 2 allies. This is passive healing. This is a lot of passive healing too. It actually hits much bigger than I think it does, than I thought it would. So this has been very impressive. I thought this is a skill I wouldn't necessarily run, and I'm always going to run it on because now I run her primarily as a healer. Sniper Cover Me, I think this skill's probably good, but for me, she's just not a damage dealer. The Eye for Weakness is good. This is kind of similar to Pamina, where Pamina has 2 skills that does this unique debuff, but one of them is better than the other one. I don't think this skill is that good, but it's reasonable. You gain dodge, so you could be tanky. You do alert, and then when someone enters it, you do 150% damage, but it's magical damage based off physical attack. And then you interrupt their turn, and then you do Eye of Weakness. This is like all good, but it only triggers 1 character. It does last for, it triggers Eye of Weakness on target for 2 turns. It just, I don't know, man. It's just whatever, right? Like, I don't think it's worth the slot. There might be a situation where you could run it over frontline deployment in a smaller map, and you just have a free ability that does some damage. But honestly, I just think her other stuff is better because you have her others. We'll get to it. Rank 5, you have her 2 reactions. Neither of them are that great. 30% less likely to get crit. I mean, it happens every time you don't get crit, it does nothing, I guess. Well, I mean, it feels like it does nothing. And when you do get crit, it feels like it didn't do anything. So I don't like this because it's really hard to tell when it's doing something. Because I don't get crit, and I'm like, well, they probably wouldn't have crit anyway. They're not likely to crit. Or I do get crit, and I'm like, why the hell am I even running this? Battlefield healing is fine. When hit by an attack, you reduce damage, and upon receiving an attack, you heal the ally with the lowest HP percentage within 2 tiles of the character by 100 magic defense. So I don't think she ever, like, this is one thing I don't like. She never heals herself. Like, this never, ever targets herself because it targets allies. So she actually can just start dying. I think you might want to use her base skill here. I don't even think she could use her base skill to target herself either. It's like, my issue with her is that she is not a self-healer. So this actually might be a situation where if you run the Wheel of Fortune, that will heal herself, or you could even run the Spring Pill. I think actually is good. I should have mentioned that earlier. I forgot kind of why I started running that quite a bit too. But you just run this reaction because it's the best you got. It is a pretty big heal, but it activates. I don't know. I haven't like loved it. I clearly would prefer the other one that deals damage and heals and is just kind of like good because she doesn't need to be in danger and get hit in order for it to do something. Once you get up to rank 7, I don't know who else has the Night Crimson ally aura. I think it's SP Rawia, but I don't have her, so this is good, but I don't have that many Night Crimson characters, so I'm not super impressed with this. I don't really care about it. Together with You, I think this attack is, I've seen people talk about it. I think it's a little overhyped. It's not super, it's good, but it's not super like unique or anything like that. This has been in the game since day 1, but the difference is, this is a power creep, I guess, because Inanna has it, but she has it for Iria. This one has it for Iria and Night Crimson, but it's the exact same thing. Co-attack and co-defense. Even KA Guard has this with co-attack to everybody. So, and I think there's another one with co-defense also. So it's not like a crazy unique skill, but it is hard to deny. When she has her weapon equipped, and this targets all the allies, they all get a buff, and then they're all going to get an extra buff. If you're staying tight together, this is definitely a good skill, which is why I took it, but I'm not using it that much yet, but there could be a time. Rank 9, this is the most obvious one ever. You almost never, I can't imagine taking Invigorating Strike here over Joint Strike, which is so fucking cool. This is like what I do with her more than anything. I passively heal, and then I use Joint Strike. Single target attack, deals 80% physical damage, inflicts the mobile squad mark. They're probably already going to have it, but in case they don't, it does, which is nice. Lasting for 2 turns, and makes the closest ally within 3 tiles. I believe it is the closest ally to Safiyyah, not to the target. That one I have to test again, because when I was fighting the plant boss, it kept changing on me, but I'm sure there's a consistent rule for it. And then performs an assisting attack with a basic attack dealing 50% damage. So assisting attack, this is actually a pretty big part of her kit. This and her rank 11 are both going to have these assisting attacks. And actually, it's kind of like her base skill also has it, her signature. It's this one here. They do you grant assault order. An assault order basically makes them assist their own attack. So she has 3 different skills that do assisting attacks. What are assisting attacks? They are a basic attack but it's a little inconsistent about what works and what doesn't work, right? So it is just a normal basic attack, but like it doesn't seem to trigger traits necessarily, because a gust will attack with his extermination with an assisting attack, but it will not cause him to generate a stack of rage. So he won't be generating an ungodly amount of range with her on the team, but he can still generate like a lot of rage normally, right? So, but it doesn't like supercharge him in that way. I don't know why. Upon initiating I guess it's because it's an active attack, and an assisting attack doesn't count as an active attack. But where it does work are on things like, I mean, Momo for sure, but where it's like extra good, there's a few characters that I want to point out that are like extra synergistic with this whole mechanic. One of them is, we're gonna find you. It's Nono Will. I'm just looking for Nono Will. Okay, you guys know where Nono Will is. There she is. So when Nono Will, you can get the ability that whenever she, after attacking, you inflict 1 stack of infection on the target. When actively using a class skill, attack a target with 5 or more stacks of infection. After take blah, 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 blah. Point is, after she attacks, she deals 1 stack of infection, but her basic attack attacks 3 times. The assisting attack will do all 3 hits and apply 3 stacks of infection. So you can have SP Sofia attack someone, have Nono Will do an assisting attack, bring them up to 3 stacks, then have Nono Will go on her natural turn and do 3 stacks, and now they'll be at 6 stacks and they will go be put to sleep. So it's very, very synergistic there. Another perfect synergistic character is Ballista. Ballista has the ability after a basic attack, one, it does ignores defense, but also can inflict defense down too. That absolutely works. So these are, there's a lot of characters that synergize with this in really cool ways. Momo can also, I believe these things also work because it just triggers this. So you will recover an energy when you use this with Momo, and she will apply a stack of infection. And in fact, with a gust, even though I bet you can drain their energy, you would probably want to switch a gust here and get the charge strike. That way, the next time he does attack, he will get more damage. And it's almost like there's too many to even realistically talk about, because there's so many. Like Magnus does his AoE, right? This is such a cool ability and a powerful ability. And if you use it on Leonide, he can knock people back, even though this doesn't knock people back. You know, if you have the thing that the passive that lets them knock people back, they can do that. Rawia will knock people back. Simona will do her extra powerful 140% damage if they're on the Frosty tile or they have movement down. So Simona might be the single strongest follow-up attacker, because even though it does 50% damage, it is still, you could all, the other ability we're going to get to does 100%. This is a very powerful basic attack. So honestly, it's kind of an insane skill. I don't use this one that much because you give them assault order and you heal them, and then they basically assist their own basic attack, right? So they're going to do a single target attack, and then they're going to perform an additional assistant attack with their basic attack. It does do 100% damage, but the thing is, I'm okay with using 0 energy, saving a slot, and just using it with my basic attack. Yes, it only does 50%, but it still triggers it, and you can actually, you could trigger this on kind of anyone you want anyway. Again, the skill does have a heal tied into it, but I have the passive heal, so I don't feel like I really need it, you know? So even though this skill I thought would be my favorite, I end up not using it because the basic attack, I feel like, just kind of does it. But when we get to rank 11, yes, you could take Rebirth. It is cool, especially with the engraving that I'm using, right? You can just heal all allies, give them all a buff, but it's like a little bit lame. It's not really that good. But Mobile Squad Trump Tactic, you've probably seen this, you've probably used this. First, it inflicts Eye of Weakness. Eye of Weakness is very powerful if they are attacked by their counter, so it doesn't do anything against Watchers. This debuff doesn't do anything against Watchers, but everyone else, you know, if they get attacked by their counter roll, the person attacking is going to get 20% more attack, which is a lot. They're already dealing double damage, so getting 20% bonus attack on your double damage, on top of like all the other stacks, right? Like you just get a ton of stuff. It's very, very, very good. It lasts for 2 turns actually, so but you could probably find a way to use this every turn. Maybe not for the whole fight, but you could do this multiple turns in a row for sure. And you cause the 4 closest allies within 3 tiles to perform assisting attacks. So a couple of key differences here. This is the second part is very similar to Joint Strike, right? It's the closest ally does an assisting attack for 50% damage. This is the 4 closest allies doing assisting attack for 50% damage. And what's important is they don't need to be within range. If they're within 3 tiles, it doesn't matter if it's Guzman with his 1 range. Guzman will attack if he's within 3 tiles. This does break their range. but she doesn't attack herself. So it's not quite, it is powerful. It's 200% damage over 4 basic attacks, some of which can do infection, some of which can break defense, some of which can, I don't know, give them additional healing, can generate their own energy. There's a lot of knockback. There's a lot of unique basic attacks. And so you can get 4 basically kind of unique. Even Guzman does like 2 debuffs. He does like physical attack down and magic defense down or something, or magic and physical defense down with his attack. So like you could do some pretty good stuff with these basic attacks. But this one, she attacks herself for 80% first. This one, she doesn't attack herself. So it's another reason why I don't think her attack is that important. She just applies the Eye of Weakness and makes everyone else attack. But again, this skill is really good. What is that? Get out of here. Get out of here. This skill is definitely insane. I don't believe this actually triggers the her sword though. So for triggering her sword, I think it's the safeguard protocol and then probably together with you. But honestly, even though the sword is super good, I feel like I'm okay with just triggering it like normally, right? It also frontline deployment definitely triggers it, which is good. I don't feel like I need to trigger this on everybody every single turn, but it is obviously very good. So that is her skills. That is kind of how I recommend building her, what to do. Let's quickly go into a combat. All right, so here we are. I just tested a little bit here just so I can make sure I have better information. So if you use the book, like on Pamina here, we can take a look at it. Boom, Pamina does get the Nocturnal Glow buff from the weapon. Now, the passive healing does not trigger it. I was wrong when I said that. I may have edited it out. I may have not. I did just test it. This does not count as targeting an ally. However, exactly the opposite mobile squad trump tactic does. If we take a look at August, he currently does not have the sword on, right? He doesn't have the Nocturnal Glow. But if we use this, also he's at 4 rage. So we can take a look here. Boom, he does this. That does not count as an active attack. But if we take a look at August here, he does now, he still has 4 rage. And he has the Nocturnal Glow buff, so that does trigger on him. Also, I believe we healed Gloria here, so we could just manually take a look here, right? No Nocturnal buff, and in case it was Guzman that got healed, let's take a look there. No Nocturnal buff. So, though her actually, let's do one more, right? Let's do the exact same thing, but let's do her basic attack. So now a gust will target. It's guaranteed to be a gust. And now if we do this, bada bang, bada boom, we take a look at him. He does get the Nocturnal Glow. That is so strong. It's even stronger than I thought. The reason I thought it didn't work is because I didn't feel like it would make sense for it to work. But it's another reason why I don't really feel like I need the co-attack. So the healing not triggering it is lame, but totally fair. But the frontline deployment will, the mobile squad trump tactic will AoE trigger it to 4 allies while debuffing the enemy. The basic attack will trigger it on 1 target every turn, and it'll last for 2 turns. So that is kind of how that stuff works. So yeah, this is her whole gimmick. You know what? Let's actually take a look at it. I think I skipped over it. Let's slow this down and let's actually look at her cool. We'll move you up here. And then do I have a teleport as well? I did bring a teleport. We'll bring Guzman and we'll move Guzman 3 tiles away. All right, so now when we use this will have all 3 of them attack. I couldn't get Gloria close enough. But let's take a look at the really cool animation. It's a they put a lot of money into that. I don't know the order. I wonder it might be based on their speed. Don't look at the damage right now. This isn't about the damage. This is about showing off the character. There's probably some, this is the tower, right? There's probably some super restrictive thing there. But yeah, that is SP Sofia. I think she is an S tier character. I mean, I guess you could tell that just if you've seen other people's content. But the ability, the reason she's an S tier character is because she gets to take advantage of other characters' basic attacks while also healing at the same time, while also debuffing the enemy, while also buffing the ally. She gets to do all of this stuff at the exact same time with 1 action. She gets to deal damage based off the strongest character around the enemy. She buffs that character while doing it. She gets to debuff the enemy while doing it. And she gets to heal, AoE heal while doing it. And then she can also move characters around as like off their turns. Then she can also do burst damage by getting your other characters to all target them. She makes everything stronger, better, and easier. She is like she's like initial Inanna, but instead of Act Again, it's not better than Act Again, but it's like it's similar to Act Again. And because you're doing so much while you're doing it, you're not trading your turn for something else. You're doing all this stuff on your turn while also getting like a partial Act Again effect. It is super powerful. And especially when you get that other reaction and you get her sword, she pops off to the next level. There's no doubt. But that's all I'm going to talk about today on Safiyyah. She is an S tier character, I think, for sure. I'm actually going to do a tier list tomorrow, so keep up your eyes open for that. Anyway, much love. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!